With the Tournament of Power only 38 hours away, the Gods of Destruction gather to discuss the fate of Universe 7's son Goku, as Beerus is the only god excluded from this meeting. Meanwhile, Goku faces off against Majin Buu, who is now skinny, something that we haven't seen in ages, and now we also spot Universe 11 warriors prepping and seemingly training for this tournament. And joining me here today to tackle Dragon Ball Super episode number 85 is my good friend Emosh, as we alongside all of you guys are going to be sharing our thoughts and opinions as to what we believe is going to happen in Dragon Ball Super episode 85. And again, if your opinions differ from ours, you guys can go ahead and comment down below and let us know your predictions and pertains to Dragon Ball Super episode 85. Now, Emosh, I wanted to ask you your overall thoughts as to what you saw in the preview. Now, this episode, and I know how much you cannot stand Krillin, I wanted to get your thoughts as to just briefly what you saw in comparison to how Krillin was able to go up against Goku and Gohan, and just your overall thoughts as to what you feel like next week's episode is going to be about, because we see the gods gathering together, we see how Majin Buu is skinny, and we also see the Universe 11 warriors just going about their business, stopping crime. So I wanted to get your thoughts briefly as to Krillin having to go up against Gohan and Goku, and seemingly having to hold his own. I mean, even though the power scaling is beyond off at this point, I want to get your thoughts on this episode, and I want to also get your thoughts on the episode preview and what you believe is going to be going down next week.
All right, so first off, what's up, everyone, and thank you so much for having me yet again.
No doubt,
man. I gotta say, and I just gotta get it out there. I hate Krillin. Everybody, a lot of you guys know that, right? But I don't hate, like, if he does something good and he does something that, or any character I hate, that's irrelevant. I don't like what he's become, but obviously now in Dragon Ball Super, especially in this tournament, which is very fitting for someone like him, you cannot deny something that he mentioned in the episode, that when he told Gohan, he said, listen, Gohan, you know, with my skill and my experience and your power, it'll be a snap for us to win, so let's win the Tournament of Power.
Right.
Even me, myself, I cannot deny Krillin's fighting experience, especially in a tournament. So this goes back all the way from Dragon Ball. You know what I'm saying? So that cannot be denied, and his experience and in this kind of tournament setting is very apparent here. And that's something that I cannot deny that. So do I agree with the way they just kind of make Gohan look like shit yet again? No, I don't think a lot of people agree with that. But after watching it, like, I think I watched that specific scene like 6 or 7 times, and then I watched the preview just with you right now, actually, like twice, 2 or 3 times. But that scene, and when Gohan said he is very experienced, it kind of really made me think that he actually doesn't really have a lot of experience.
No, yeah, he said, I'm sorry, I'm very inexperienced, you know?
And especially in a tournament setting. Gohan, I mean, if we think back, Gohan has only ever been in, like, street fights. There's that time when he was a kid against Frieza, when he went all out against Frieza. Then there's the Cell arc, which you can't really consider that a tournament, because it went from a tournament to, all right, well,
an all-out death match.
Yeah, exactly. Winner, survival of the fittest. And then the thing with the whole, when he fought Buu, that was just an all-out street fight. And even it just goes to show that despite how smart Gohan is, despite his potential, despite anything, he really doesn't have a lot to offer when you put him in a situation that requires him to use his head, or actually, like, be savvy. And that's something that Krillin has, and that's something that was very apparent in this episode. I will say, though, the scene that absolutely just blew my mind, in a bad way, that just made me just want to, like, throw my headphones across the room, was the scene where they traded the Kamehamehas between Goku.
Yeah. That was I think we can all agree that was just terrible.
Pushing it. I think that was pushing it. It's kind of like the whole Super Shenron thing again. Like, it was pushing. I think they added, if they left it alone, because honestly, that, even if Goku was holding back, it's Super Saiyan Blue. I don't care.
Absolutely. I actually mentioned how it didn't make any sense for Krillin to even stand the chance, because this is a Goku that's post, Goku Black, Zamasu, Frieza. He's gotten so strong, and 18 even admitted, she said, "Wow, the difference in power, like, this is insane." But for Krillin made a good point. I mean, he realized that he was standing alongside Goku many times where he used Super Saiyan Blue, and now he's going up against, that very form. So with that being said, it's like, during the tournament he is going to be working with Goku again, but he also came to the realization like, damn, I'm going to be fighting guys just as equally matched to that, if not stronger than the Goku. So, you know, I think it was more than fitting, but the whole Kamehameha usage thing, I agree. I don't think that should have been a back and forth kind of thing at all, even though many people are going to argue and say, man, you know, Goku was holding back. Regardless of that, I can see him holding back if he was like in base form or Super Saiyan form, but not this is just too much. But I do like how Krillin was on the offensive, and you can see that. I mean, even when using the Solar Flare, when using the Destructo Discs, like, he was very savvy with that. And even Gohan said, it's not a battle of powers, it's a battle of the minds. And,
the mind as well.
Yeah, so we saw how Goku was like, whoa, like, you cut the ground beneath me, like, when did you do that? So Krillin is going to be very useful, I think, especially even he may not be the strongest one there, as we saw, you know, his techniques and his speed and the way he implied, you know, the Solar Flare and, you know, the Destructo Discs. I think it's gonna work out in his favor.
It actually showcases just how rusty Goku is too in a tournament setting. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, the last few things we've had from him as well have been one-on-one street fights. Just, you know, just him and a villain. And now,
for those of you who disagree, Goku did say he also doesn't understand the premise of how this tournament works, and he even told 18 and Krillin that I'm gonna learn with you guys, and he also wanted Gohan to learn too, because Goku's not a team player. I mean, he's a team player, but he fights solo. That's how Goku is.
At the end of the day, he's always been used to being that guy who just has all the weight on his shoulders, and okay, it's up to me now. You know what I'm saying? So but I gotta say, I loved watching 18 just jump in.
Oh, that was good.
Just like that. Yeah. I don't really again, I don't understand how she like just stopped, you know, any kind of collision, anything coming from a Super Saiyan Blue, whatever. But that, I mean, it's over and done with. We can't really change it. But I will say it was really great to see her just jump in like that and you know, be very assertive, and not only just wanting to help Krillin, but also coming to the realization that, listen, this is a team match, and if, you know, wow, man, I just wished they would have just let her get a few hits in. You know, that would have been epic to see.
I mean, that would have been the first time we would have saw 18 and Goku even touch gloves, sort of say, in like ever. Because I remember back when they were after him, they never saw him, they never encountered him. So, but speaking of that, episode 85 showed us quite a few things. Now, I wanted to get your thoughts, your first initial thoughts on Skinny Buu. Some people love it, just a very few hate it. The concept of this was Buu has been training a lot. I mean, based on the episode spoilers, he's been going all out ever since they got back. So even though that may be about, what, a few hours maybe, but still, with that being said, he's been training, and, you know, you can see that based on his body. You and me spoke off camera. We said that he resembles a little bit of like a Super Buu, Evil Buu, you know, just based on like his overall like feature, but his face is still Majin Buu. What are your thoughts on Majin Buu having to spar with Goku, despite Majin Buu having to be fat again in the tournament, in which I think we can all agree that he is, because he's definitely not going in there skinny. What are your thoughts on them two having to finally have somewhat of a rematch? I mean, ever since Dragon Ball Z when they first encountered each other, what are your thoughts on that, and how well do you think Buu's going to do now? Or at least how strong do you think he's become? Because after having to, you know, train for so long, I mean, we've never seen Buu or train ever. I mean, we couldn't even imagine Buu having to train.
He never had to.
He did. Yeah. So what are your thoughts going into that?
The whole concept of Buu just training in general is kind of interesting. And I think the fact I think it's safe to say he's been training with Satan, right, Mr. Satan?
Right.
So that, if you look at it from a perspective where a guy like Mr. Satan, who's very fit despite his age, he's very fit, and he's an Earthling, and it's only natural that whoever it is he trains would actually showcase that very same thing. So Majin Buu has become a very fit-looking character, which could help. He may not have gotten maybe all that much stronger, perhaps. That's, you know, for example, let's just theoretically say he didn't get that much stronger in terms of power, but this massive drop in weight and just improved physique can allow him to actually move a lot more efficiently in a fighting scenario. The only problem is that he's not going to have that physique going into the tournament. So what was the actual point of all of this? I honestly don't know. I think maybe it was just, you know, to give us, you know, a laugh or two here and there, because if you look at it, there really is no other point to do that other than to maybe, you know, make us laugh or something like that. I will say though, to see Buu and Goku has always had a hard time with Buu.
Yeah,
despite it, he never really beat him one-on-one. You know, they needed the Spirit Bomb. They needed all these other things. He just never wanted to. Like that was the one thing that kind of. I think he stated it. I honestly, but see, I think I did a discussion. I don't remember with who, but it was just like off camera, just us bullshitting, whatever. People were saying that I could have beat him, you know, when he was Super Saiyan 3 and stuff like that. But Perhaps I mean, Vegeta felt the same way. You know, he nuked himself and Buu survived. Same thing with Kid Buu. Kid Buu was just a force to be reckoned with. That's probably a different discussion. But I will say it will be awesome to see the two of them spar again. It just depends what kind of Buu we're seeing. If we're seeing the Buu that just wants to show off, you know, how awesome he is now, then that's whatever. It also depends on what kind of Goku we're gonna see, because I just don't imagine Goku going as hard against Buu the same way he did against Krillin, because Krillin really needs to prove something, and I will say and admit that he has proved something. I'm happy that he's on the team, especially right now. Granted that as to what's at stake and his experience is very apparent. Am I gonna say that I like him now? Absolutely not. But because it begs the question. He used his solar flare times 100 when he was in range of the sun, right? There's no sun in the world of Void, so is that you know, the question comes into mind as to whether or not that's even possible. Can he use the solar flare? Yes. Will it be as strong? I highly doubt that.
Probably not, but it still has an effect.
Very dark there, right? Of course, but it's just very dark there. So I think they're showcasing certain things with the lack of any point to it. You know what I'm saying? Because now a solar flare times 100 cannot work in the world of Void. That's just a dark place. It's a void, right? So as Gohan mentioned, when he was trying to block it just by closing his eyes, he couldn't even do that. That's how strong the solar flare was. So okay, it's good to see that he's developing new techniques, but if that technique doesn't work in a tournament of power, what's the point of introducing it? Same thing with Majin Buu. If they're trying to showcase that he's been training, which is great because he reminds me, the whole concept is like Buhan, right? But just with baggy clothes like the evil Buu and a smiley face. The preview, it was good. I mean, it's what we normally get from a preview, right? I think the whole sparring match between Buu and Goku is going to be the most talked about subject, other than the whole Jiren and the Beerus looking character and the M. Bison or Kano looking character that we saw from Universe 11, fighting crime, etc. But other than that I would consider that to be mainstream. The other talked about thing would be the whole concept of Buu and Goku sparring. It just depends how long they carry out this sparring match. I just hope they show us something from Buu again. I don't think people will ever get tired of watching Majin Buu fight, because especially from what we remember of him.
Right.
So I think it's going to be great. I'm expecting big things, but at the same time, I could never really find myself to go into a Dragon Ball Super episode with high expectations anymore, because I always end up walking out like, well, what the fuck was that?
Well,
right?
I mean,
so,
I think that sometimes you're probably expecting a little bit too much. I mean, I gradually have to build to that. And I think that, because we talked about this a long time ago, even during the Goku Black story, when you even pointed out that every little thing that happens in each episode must be taken into an account, because that can ultimately be exposed and talked about and you know, further explained down the line. So I think that I feel a little the opposite about what you said. Yeah, granted, there may not be no sun, but I think that Krillin can still use those techniques a little effectively. And in terms of Majin Buu, surely, yeah, even though he's not going to enter this, you know, in his skinny form, I still think that his power had to have improved. I think that he's bound to have gotten stronger, maybe not as significantly as powerful as we all would hope, you know, because a lot of people want to. I guarantee you right now, people are going to compare his training to what Frieza did in that 4-month period, and they're going to say, well, how strong is Buu now since he did training? It's unknown to say. I don't think that I don't think that he's going to be anywhere near Super Saiyan Blue level. Do I think that he's going to be do I think that he may be stronger than how we saw Kid Buu in Dragon Ball Z? Maybe. But even with that being said, it still doesn't come down to power. It would be. I mean, for them to even for Goku to even say, wow, you're stronger than how we fought you back on the Supreme Kai World, like, that would make sense. But
that would be enough for me. I'd be happy.
Even with his power being as strong as it is, that still won't be enough. But I do want to talk about the Universe 11 Warriors. They look like they have their shit in order. Even though one of them is excluded, that being Jiren, and he's meditating and he looks very, very intense. Thank God, because we see how Toppo is doing his traditional justice poses, and even the Bison looking dude, the Bison dude's like pointing and stuff. The Beerus character had somewhat of like a serious face, but he still like got into stance.
He's doing the poses, right?
Yeah, the only person that wasn't there was Jiren. But I want to get your thoughts on the Beerus looking dude. And for anyone out there who wants to talk about, he's definitely related to Beerus. That is a false fact. I mean, people are gonna say, oh well, he's definitely related to Beerus just because he looks like him. I doubt that. I doubt that significantly enough, because there's no evidence to support that. But we spoke about how me and you feel as if he's gonna be like sort of like the quick person, like the Flash of the team because of his size and the way I mean the way he probably carries himself. Now, what are your overall expectations coming from him aside from Topo and the bison-looking character from Street Fighter? What are your thoughts on the Beerus-looking dude? Because I think that and this would be scary if this was true, but let's say for example if he and Topo alongside the bison dude were all equal in terms of power. That would ultimately mean that you have not just one, but now you have three.
Wow, that would be scary.
You have three fighters that can potentially compete with Super Saiyan Blue. And mind you, we only have 2 Super Saiyan Blues. And then that we're not even including Jiren in all this. So that's 4. Yeah. 4 on 2, that's different. That's difference in power. So what are your thoughts on him, and what are your expectations coming from him?
Well, I think Topo did technically just like kind of advertised Jiren, only Jiren the Gray, right?
Yeah,
so he advertised him specifically. He didn't really even mention the other fighters, or let alone even hint that, oh, well, my whole squad, even something along the lines of saying like, well, my whole squad is as strong as strong as you.
That would be
and
so
then
scary.
Say that would be too much. I think then Universe 11 would officially be OP. So
but it's not, they'll be OP, but that doesn't mean they'd win.
I would say this guy, to me, when I first saw him, I just thought, this guy is like Quicksilver. Like, this is the Quicksilver of the team. This is the Flash of the team. I will say that the uniform looks horrible on him, but other than that,
so you disagree with the uniform, right?
It just doesn't look good on him. That's all I'm saying. It's not even. It's just the uniform. I don't care. Like, I personally, obviously, I love his character already because he's very reminiscent of Beerus. And I think a lot of people, for example, let's say if he performs extremely well, right? A lot of people will be happy with him because some people in the back of their heads, I might be one of them, will probably say that, oh, well, it's good to see someone who looks like Beerus fighting, because a lot of people will want to see Beerus fight again. Will he be as strong? Nowhere near as strong. Definitely not. But the point is, watching someone that looks like someone or that reminds you of someone is always good to see.
Right.
Because it always inspires you to really look forward more to that character. What are my expectations of him? It's hard to say. I don't like this whole like I mean, I get the concept of them being a team and posing together and stuff like that. But I absolutely fell in love with Jiren, and here's why. He reminds me he's like the Vegeta of Universe 11, right? He's not really down with he doesn't really care about being down with everybody. He doesn't really care about looking good or being flashy and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, he's like the hit of the squad.
He's like the hit Piccolo Vegeta of Universe 11. He's just training, which is interesting because they show Piccolo meditating, then they show
exactly
Jiren
like him,
meditating. So oh man, Jiren looks like he means business, and he completely overshadows his whole team. Because of his demeanor, and we haven't even seen him speak yet. We haven't even seen how he carries himself. But they have not. I will say this now. If we see him and he ends up doing those poses that Topo and everybody does, then for me it's game over. I'm not gonna say he's weak or anything. Obviously, he's still gonna be very powerful. I just won't favor him anymore because the way they're advertising is like, listen. I'm about my business. There's no way I'm denying. I know I'm a Pride Trooper. I'm a Pride Warrior. I represent Universe 11, but I see things in a far more greater perspective than my current team does. I'm not interested in poses. I'm not interested in that. I want to train. I want to train nonstop. And that's the kind of vibe I got from looking at him. I think showing Jiren, especially now, and then when we try to talk about the Beerus-looking character, I think when you show them at the same time in one preview, Jiren just completely overshadows everything in the preview.
Oh yeah, because he's the strongest one there. But aside from that, he's just...
And the expectations are so high.
Of course, and they should be high because, the way Topo made him out to be, he is going to be the juggernaut of the team. So even if Universe 11 falls and it's just down to him, Topo's so confident that he said that, yo, if you think you're equal to me, like, my friend's going to destroy you. So it does boil down to Jiren, and I do think that each universe has, like, their ride or die guy. Like, I think that Beerus relies on Goku. Champa's definitely going to rely on Hit. And I think that, Belmont or Vermount's going to rely on Jiren as well. But even with that, it's not just one fighter. They have multiple fighters that are possibly on par with Super Saiyan Blue, if not higher. But speaking of that, the gods are not pleased with Goku at all. They gather together. The Kais are separate than the gods. The Kais are trying to reason with the Omni King, while the gods are saying, you know what, fuck this. We need to kill that dude. We need to kill him now for, like, jeopardizing our position. So I want to know your thoughts going into that. Like, how do you expect that to be? Especially with Beerus not being there, do you think that he's going to find out and get pissed? Or, like, how is that going to go down?
Well, when we saw the spoilers, we pretty much majority of the community felt like, especially if you want to look at it from a YouTube perspective, like us, some other people, we all said the same thing. We all said, okay, they're gonna hatch some kind of scheme to gang up on Goku. That's apparent, and Goku kind of deserves it because the way he handled himself in the Zen exhibition match, he pretty much called all of them out. Though they cannot, themselves do something about it, right? They cannot just go and Hakai him.
Yeah, even though
right?
they want to, of course.
I personally believe that the Hakai is reserved for special cases, right? So, and granted that the Omni King is expecting to see Goku there, how is it gonna look if they find out that, well, oh, how did Goku die? Well, he got Hakai'd. Okay, so who fucking did it? You know what I'm saying? So, at the end of the day, I think it was pretty much expected for Goku to walk around with the target on his chest or on his back or whatever, but it's definitely, I'm hoping 85 is when we get an actual idea as to where the story for this arc is heading, because we still haven't officially really got one. There's no real, primary villain, or it wouldn't make sense for there to be a villain either if you think about it, but there's no really primary role here. At first, we thought it was the Daishinkan, then we thought it was the Omni King, and now Universe 11 is getting some spotlight. So now it's like, where is this going? You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's going to be interesting to see. I think 85 definitely has high expectations in terms of revealing information. Not so much of action or anything, but definitely information, primarily Universe 11 and things like that. I think people are going to be excited to see Android 17 make his return as well, which is something, I think... There's so much happening, Alex. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, now that I mentioned 17, it's like, wow, we didn't even talk about 17 yet, and it's a hot topic too. So it's like, wow, there's so much to cover.
There was a lot of information revealed in this episode, like in the last 26 minutes. Like even so, right? Goku said something that really caught my attention. He said, "I never met 17 face to face, but I'm willing to find out where he is, and I know that he's really strong."
That struck me too. When he said that, I was like, yeah, he's right. He
never met him. And 17 was
right.
always the one that was like, we need to go after Goku, because between him and his sister, he was always the one amongst him and 16 that was like, oh, we need to find and kill Goku, blah, blah, blah. How do you think that's going to go down?
His return will definitely... now could not have been a better time, honestly. Because, I've always said it, if he had any kind of return in the Buu arc or anything like that, it just wouldn't be relevant. He would just get his ass kicked. But now, it's kind of like everybody has their time to make their flashy entrance or flashy reappearance. He has that swag, that people love so much. And by the way, I think in the Japanese server, Dokkan Battle is having a Super 17 event right now.
Yeah, they are actually.
So it's kind of like, everything is everything is piecing together. So it's working. I just like it. I don't have like specific comments or like an insight to it, because there really isn't. It's just sit back and enjoy the show, So
let me ask you about 17. How do you think that they're going to recruit him? Because I can't see him just going along with this. I think that if anything, and this is just my little theory here, at some point we may see Goku spar with him as well, just for the time being. And I think that if that were to happen, that would be great, because that would be the first time Goku actually went at it with an android aside from Cell, right?
Yeah, you're right.
So
and I think,
would you say that makes sense or no?
It would make sense, because it would make sense for him to size everybody up, so he knows where he's going. He should know. I mean, if you're representing Team 7, if you're the icon for Team 7 or any team, right? You should know what you're walking into a tournament with, especially one that has to do with the survival of your universe. What kind of bothers me though is that why they're being so tight-lipped on at least letting their own fighters know. They don't have to let Planet Earth know, you know what I'm saying? But at least letting their own fighters know what's really going down. I'm sure, obviously they're going to find out, once they enter the tournament and stuff like that. But it's like, why be so tight-lipped about it?
I don't think you want to expose that information quite early, because then they're going to make you out to be like the monster. It's like, oh, well, how did this happen? And then he's going to be like, well... you see, I kind of called the Omni King and blah, blah, blah.
know me.
Like, I just wanted to, so, like, everyone's going to be like, well, so damn, it's because of you now. Wonderful. But I think that, if you were to bring up the idea, like, all right, so if we don't do our best, we're going to die. I think that if you were to bring that up, like, people would take it a little bit more serious. Not saying that they won't now, but I think that by Goku lying to 18 and saying, 10 million Zeni.
And then 100 million.
Yeah, 100 million Zeni and all that kind of stuff, and just, lying to her and just bringing her in there. I mean, she's in it for the money, and who doesn't want a prize like that? But I think that, as you said, you're right, that information will be revealed once they actually get there.
it kind of makes things worse once they do find out. Now it's like, yo, had you not told us, maybe we could have prepared even better.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's a 50 for Goku. It's a lose-lose situation. He's gonna lose that argument, you know, regardless of what anybody wants to say or how he defends himself. But I think it's just gonna come down to, I just hope. My expectations for the tournament are high. Everything up until then is just going to be like, okay, you know, sit back and enjoy the show. And I recommend everybody else do the same, you know. So that's pretty much it. I mean, hype, 85 hype, 85 hype. 17's coming back. We're going to get some information about Jiren hopefully this week or next week, right?
Oh yeah, hopefully we get some names, because I mean a lot of us have been referring to people like Beerus,
The
dude.
Beerus
Like,
guy
you know,
and
it's
the
a
female
little
Brody.
annoying, but post your comments down below, guys. What are your overall thoughts on Dragon Ball Super episode 85? Do you guys agree with Emosh? Do you guys disagree with Emosh? Do you guys agree with me? Disagree with me? Comment down below, post your theories and your predictions for next week's episodes. Thank you all so very much for watching. We truly hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, make sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button for all latest in Dragon Ball news, information, and updates. Don't forget to also slap the video up with a like to save your universe. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Emosh's channel. I will link it down in the description below, guys. Thank you all for watching as always, and we'll be seeing you all down in the comment section below. Take it easy, guys. Peace.